Hey guys, it's Liz from blueandhazel.com. Welcome to my channel, and today's video I want to take you through the Ambleside Online Year 3 book stack that we are reading from their schedule here that I printed out on their website. So let me show you here. It is definitely bigger than my Year 1's book stack, and oh, that's big. As far as knowing what books to purchase for the scheduled reads, just print out this list from their website. It's free, and this is the 36-week schedule. First term here, second term here, third term here. And then I just went through and in green, put all of the books that I needed to buy because I wanted the hard copies. I love having them laid out the night before. I love not having to get on my phone or anything like that and coordinate any technology for the actual reads. All right, so what we have on the schedule up first is Bible, and at this point, I'm not having my third grader do Bible on her own. We're doing Bible time as a family, and I think I'm not gonna have her do the scheduled Bible reads until she is really reading those on her own. So for our very first book, I have This Country of Ours, Volume 1 for Year 3. And this is the story of the United States. Now, you might have the older version, which is a big, thicker one. This one is updated, expanded, and annotated by Donna Jean Breckenridge. And she is an advisory member for Ambleside Online. And she is actually still writing the third and fourth books at the time of this video. So Volume 1 is for Year 3. Volume 2 I have for my Year 4, and then there will be a Volume 3 and 4. I don't know the ins and outs of what is different in her book than the older version, but I do know that the older one, there was just some controversy around it and a lot of editing that parents felt like they had to do. She has kind of taken that and updated it and given a version to us that we don't feel like we need to edit for our kids. So I just went ahead and bought this one. Now the inside is I'll show you here. Pretty wordy. I'd say this is one of the harder ones for my daughter to narrate, and this comes up about every other week. They rotate it with the other history book, Child's History of the World. We usually have to break one of the readings. If it's scheduled for the week, we break it into 2 to 3 different sittings so that she doesn't feel so overwhelmed with all the details and things happening. But overall, this is the history spine and for the US. The next one is Our Island Story, and I'm reading this with my first grader as well. And so this is a book that's going to cross multiple years. So that's something with Ambleside Online that I'm new to, is that one book can oftentimes be split apart into multiple years. This is going to be British history. We're actually closer to the middle for Year 3. And just to give you an idea of like what a reading might look like for the week, we have page 1, page 2, and page 3. Here would be like another 1, 2 pages. And then this one here we have 1, 2 pages. So it's a doable amount of reading. I feel like one assigned reading of this is a lot less than one assigned reading of this. Next one that I have up is A Child's History of the World, and this is a very thick book. I didn't realize when I bought it how thick it was. This is also one that is spread across multiple years, and so for her, we're somewhere right in the middle is where it started, and just to kind of give you an idea of what a reading would be like. Let's see here. Just starting chapter 67, for example, we'd have page 1, page 2, page 3, page 4. There's occasional picture, but not that many. Page 5. So this is another one that we would split into probably 2 readings for the week so that she didn't have to listen to so much at once. Another thing to notice is that you're just not going to read all of this book. They don't start in some of the beginning chapters, which have a different worldview than Ambleside Online supports. Not a Christian worldview in the beginning, but in the middle, it's really just what happened in history. And so they're fine recommending reading that. So the next one is Trial and Triumph. It's spread across multiple years, and this is a really deep, heavy book. One of the favorites of many Ambleside Online users because of the true stories of Christian martyrs who have died and been persecuted for their faith in Christ. But I will say the stories that we've read so far are just really hard to read because people die in horrible, horrible ways for their faith. And If you're a sensitive person or if you have a sensitive child, just kind of know that and maybe pre-read it and decide, you know, you're the parent, you get to decide if these are stories that your child should hear yet. You can always save them for later, that's my opinion. Each chapter is a standalone person, and they have Trial and Triumph scheduled about once a month. The next book that we have is Marco Polo, and I'm really liking this one so far. It is not scheduled out. They just say spread it throughout the whole year. And so it's kind of up to you to just read a little bit each week, or, you know, every other week you could read a little bit more. It's totally up to you, but this will just give you an idea of what the inside looks like. I cannot read a chapter in a sitting to my daughter. It's too much. So we end up doing, you know, maybe 2 to 3 pages at a time. Okay, so the next up we have Pagu, and this is one of my favorite books that we're reading. It's just a really cool story. All of the Holling Clancy Holling books are so good. It's the story of a little hermit crab who, you know, grows up in the ocean, and you get to learn so much about marine life and the way of the ocean and the creatures. And so you can see there's a lot of little labels and things to look at. This is definitely one that I want my daughter sitting next to me on the couch so that she can kind of glance over at these pictures and see what's happening. One story for her is going to usually be 2 pages, sometimes 3 pages. This is scheduled about once a week, so 1 chapter a week or so. And next up we have A Drop of Water. It's thin and each reading is very short. They also have a little experiment in the back of the book that matches each reading. So Water's Smallest Parts, that would be 1 reading. Water's Elastic Surface, that would be 1 reading there. Floating Steel and Wild Waves. When Water Meets Air, When Water Flows Up. So you can see this is 1 week, this is another week. Next is American Tall Tales. This one here is short and amazing, crazy stories. We really liked Paul Bunyan, that was fun. And it's awesome to see how these stories come up in other stories that we've read, and then once they understand that, they see it in another story and they have the reference to it. Tall Tales does not get read every week. This is about once a month as well. And so the stories in here are long enough, we have to chop them up into a few readings. For example, the story of Paul Bunyan, we had to break up into several days across the week that it was scheduled. It's about 12 pages start to finish, and so we just broke that up. So Parables of Nature is a pretty cool book. So far we've enjoyed the readings that we've done. We've only done a couple, so we will see as time goes on what they're actually showing us in this book. But this is something that's scheduled from a lot of different years. So my year 1 is also doing Parables of Nature, and I've decided to combine my year 1 and year 3 so that I'm not doing 2 separate readings for each of them, because my year 3 has already missed year 1 and year 2 readings. So, you know, I just figure if I combine her down with my year 1, she's going to still be missing some either way, and that just kind of saves me some time if they can both listen in together and then take turns narrating. Each story is, you know, a little bit longer. We'd probably have to break these into a couple days to read one of these. All right, so next up we have The Heroes, and this book is alternated every other week pretty much with Parables of Nature. So 1 week this, 1 week this, 1 week this, 1 week this. And this is our Greek mythology book, and I got this version from Living Book Press, and there's some pictures inside. There's just crazy stories of Greek mythology and new names and adventures and just weird stuff happening. And I'm hoping that this is kind of putting money in the bank for the future when it comes to like referencing certain people or figures, because it is a lot of weird for me, but it's also just like, I know a lot of classic tales, I guess, that will come up in literature in the future. So next up is probably my year 3's very favorite book of the year, Princess and the Goblin. This is a literature pick for term 1, and she just really enjoys it. I read it out loud to her, and there's just like magic mixed with adventure and mystery, and they have about 3 chapters scheduled every week of this, and so we try to read a little bit every day. Then it's not overwhelming and we don't get behind. So I'll usually put this out the night before with 1 to 2 other reads for the day. And so she can kind of like track this pretty easily because we're reading it every day. She doesn't have to remember so far back what happened, if that makes sense. We also have on the schedule Shakespeare for year 3. We are new to it, so I haven't started it yet, but I did buy the Lamb's version. Since year 1, 2, and 3, Ambleside recommends doing the story form of the play rather than the actual play. So when we start that, we will probably combine my year 1, 3, and honestly, I'm gonna combine my 4th grader as well. Even though Ambleside recommends doing the actual plays in year 4, I'm just gonna combine us all to do the Lamb's version. Next up, we have Pilgrim's Progress, and for year 3, Ambleside actually recommends just the regular version, but I just heard such good things from the Little Pilgrim's Progress, the illustrated version. So I bought this one for my year 1, 3, and 4 to do together. And it's also my first time reading it through. And we read about a chapter a day during our morning time together, and then I randomly call on somebody to narrate. So this is like 1, 2, 3. So not too long. And then the last one in here I have Ambleside Online's Poetry Anthology for year 3. And they have one of these that they've basically collected a poem a day for each year. And so for year 3, it's going to be shared amongst these 4 poets here. And then for our family, even though I did buy the year 1, 3, and 4 poem books, which I'll show you inside real quick. For our family though, what I found is that instead of me reading, you know, each day a separate poem to the kids, or even them reading the poem to themselves as they get older, I just decided to combine us all, and we're just going to read through the poetry books together as a family in our morning time. So every morning I read actually from the year 1 poetry book that I got, and we read 1 to 2 poems depending on the length. And then when that's finished, I'll grab this one. We'll read those all together. And then when this one's finished, I'll grab the next one I have, which is my year 4's book. So, but the poems are awesome, and they've done a great job collecting poems from these poets each year that are on the schedule. Okay, and then there'll be a couple books that we'll finish up and a couple new ones that are added later in the year. And so one of those will be the Jungle Book. This is going to be a literature pick. It is very thick, and so I can imagine we're going to be reading this every day a little bit out loud with my daughter. Another thing I might consider with this, even though I own the book, is to maybe give her the audiobook version since she's not doing this on her own yet. And then another book that'll be introduced in term 3 is The Secrets of the Woods, and it looks like about 3 chapters a week for this one. And so in Ambleside, as you finish up some from the earlier part of the year, then they will add in books from in the later part of the year. The last thing I wanted to mention, I got these 2 books, which will be kind of reference books for all of the years in Ambleside Online. And they give you, it's Elementary Geography by Charlotte Mason, and then Home Geography by Long. And on the back of these sheets here, they give you which chapters each term to read. And usually it's like 1 to 2 from each of these books. At some point during the term, basically, I will just take these out, we'll read those, talk about it, and then done with these. So I don't think these are like a major, you know, a major book that you have to have. If you don't use these, you could find another way to talk about hot and cold countries, parallel lines. Here we have for term 2, talking about sunrise and sunset, why the sun rises. And that is in this book here. And then for term 3, it has us, you know, clocking into Long's book here, chapter 7 and 8. And then it has us talking in here how maps are made. So it would be easy to just quickly do this, and I'm not too worried about that. I wasn't sure how we would use them, but just know these are not scheduled in, and some people choose not to buy these and do their own thing for geography. In addition to that, really there's going to be map work. Okay, and then last but not least, here is a stack of some of the free read titles that my daughter could choose from. She could do audiobooks of these You know, I could choose to read some of these as a family read aloud if I wanted. There's many more on the back of the schedule that you can check out. But I will just slowly be adding to those as we find them for our home library, but we'll probably be doing a lot of those for her on audiobook and maybe a few bedtime reads and things like that. So if you found this helpful, thanks for watching, and please give it a thumbs up. I'd love to know if you have any questions about your 3 books, and if you've made any substitutions for things, please leave me a comment. I'd love to know what you're doing. So thanks so much.